All right, welcome guys to first day of quarter 2 for automation and robotics. You do want to double check your schedule after attendance is done. They've probably already noted if you're in the incorrect classroom. If PowerSchool says Mr. Osborne, then you're supposed to be next door for automation and robotics. But if it says Miss Bennett, then you are in the correct location. So I'm going to go through an introduction of what you guys can expect throughout the quarter, and then just some basics for my classroom. So best way to get a hold of me is definitely going to be through email or coming down to my classroom on during East time on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Fridays. I have a 6th grade East time, so it's pretty much just a quiet study time for them. So if later in the quarter you need to work on projects or you have questions about making up a lab, that would be the perfect time to come down to do that. I have 12 years of teaching experience. My areas that I specialized in before I taught Project Lead the Way were middle school and high school math, middle school and high school science. Specifically, chemistry and physics were my focus areas. I do have my elementary license, so I'm licensed to teach K through 6, but I haven't ever used that license to teach the general area. I've just always done the specialized areas of Project Lead the Way, math or science. I went back to Purdue to get my Project Lead the Way certifications for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes. So as we go through stuff, if you see PLTW, that means Project Lead the Way. And there's lots of different courses that Project Lead the Way offers. Automation and robotics is what we have selected to be the 7th grade course. I coach volleyball here at East. I'm the 7th grade head coach. This past season was year 16 of coaching for me. I have one son. His name is Stone. You can see him in the picture there with me. He's in 2nd grade. All right, here are some general expectations for my classroom and the room in general. Your Bluetooth should be on at all times with your iPad, which means your iPad should be with you and charged. If it is in need of charging, bring your charger with you. I do not provide them for you, but there are plenty of locations in my classroom to be able to plug your iPad in. So you could plug your iPad in and work during class. Water bottles are permitted, but not over at the computers. And then also once we get into building in the robotics kits, I will require that your water bottles be put on a different table or just another area. We want to prevent any kind of spills possible. No eating, which means food, candy, gum, all of the above, because it is a lab classroom. So we do the robotics labs, we do dissections in the 8th grade classes. So I need to make sure that we keep it in the lab area, which means no food or anything like that you would be eating. Every day when you come into the room, you should have your iPad with you. And again, make sure it's charged. If it's not, bring your charger with you. Bring something to write with. I don't care the color or if it's a pen or pencil, just have something with you. And then it's always a good idea to have a book or other homework with you. If your iPad is completely dead and you have no charger, then I do expect you have something to write with. And then I expect you to have a book to read. So that way then if I can print a copy of the lab, you have something to write with. And if it's not something printable, then you would have a book and you would have to read and then do your lab as a makeup lab at another time. Music is definitely going to be allowable at certain points in the period. And only at certain points during this quarter, but understand it is a privilege. So if you automatically put earbuds in, then I will remove that permission for everybody in the class for the remainder of the quarter. So always check in if it is allowable. Today is day 1 of the quarter. No, music is not yet permitted. Phones, I don't mind seeing them on the tables, but they should be face down. A notification comes up. We are human, we're going to check, it's a distraction. So if it's face down, we don't automatically see what is there. That does include a parent texting you. If there's an emergency going on, then they will contact the school office and you will be called down out of class. Other than that, they should not be texting or you should not be replying to a message during the class period without permission. Things happen. If you need permission, you need to check with the adult in the room first. Obviously, those types of emergencies don't happen daily, so that's why it's always best to check in. Last one, don't pack up early. That bell at the end of the period is for your teacher to dismiss you. It is not the signifier that you are darting for the door. 99.9% of the time, I'm going to release you right at the bell. I'll say, have a great day, or bye guys, something to that nature. But you should be waiting for that. If you rush for the door, we are going to sit and wait. Because especially once we start building in the robotics kits, I want to make sure that everything's been cleaned up. No parts on the floor. We don't have bolts or things laying on the floor for the next class to come in and have to clean up after you guys. Grading and PowerSchool codes. So in this class, your grade will be weighted. 70% of your grade is going to come from your projects and your labs, things we're doing right here in the classroom. So it makes sense that that is the biggest area of your grade because we're going to be doing those items in the room here. Quizzes are going to be a little bit different. While they will kind of be questions, it's going to be over the parts and the mechanisms that we're building. So the things that we're building in class, you're going to have to start remembering the names of those pieces. You're going to need to remember the names of those mechanisms and what they look like because it's going to be a lot of pictures in the quizzes asking what a certain part is so that you can remember those things that we are building with. Last area, bell work. This could be small bell work questions. It could be vocabulary items. It could be reflections after a certain build. So there's lots of other areas, and it's not always just questions at the start of the class period. PowerSchool codes. By this point, you should be familiar with them, but if you are not, if you see LS in PowerSchool, this means that you didn't reach the 50% threshold on that item. It means that maybe you rushed through it or you didn't complete the whole item, you didn't submit everything that was needed, and so the grade gets bumped to a 50%, but an LS means you're missing something. So you can always look in the rubric and see what pieces you didn't submit. You could look at my comments to see what you might not have done, and you could go back in and resubmit that for a regrade. NHI, again, a 50% grade in the grade book. But the NHI means you didn't turn it in at all. So that's another thing. I do have Canvas set to send grades to PowerSchool every single evening. So if you see an exact half score, chances are that it probably wasn't turned in and I might not have put that NHI in because I think it transfers those scores at like 2 in the morning. So obviously I'm not up at 2 in the morning converting all those to NHIs. So if you see that 50% score, then that means that you need to turn that item in still. So that brings up the next big question. Will I accept late work? Yes, I definitely will accept late work. Okay, so you can always go back in and turn that item in. I'm not going to rush to get to grading it. So that's why you need to be prompt in getting items turned in on time so that it gets graded close to when that due date was. Quizzes, the ones that we take, there are 2 of them. They can only be retaken if all of the items prior to that have been completed and turned in. So that means not turned in halfway done, not turned in with 1 question answered. If you want a quiz retake, I will give you 1 opportunity for a quiz retake, but all prior assignments to that quiz must have been turned in. If an item is turned in late, because yes, I do accept late work, there will be a late penalty. So that means there will be a 10% deduction taken off of that assignment if it is turned in past the due time. This doesn't immediately apply to if you were out sick or gone for a doctor or dentist appointment. So if you were out 1 day sick, you would get 1 day once you return, and then after that, that late policy could kick in. So what I would do, I grade the assignment. Let's say you earned 90%, then I would automatically take that 10% deduction, and your new grade would be an 80% because it was turned in late. So it's an overall, it's not per day, it's just right off the top, 10% if it is turned in late. All right, so what we are going to be doing this quarter, our first unit out of the 3 that we will cover is our general information unit. So this is going to be where we learn some background about robots, different ones that you guys may not know about, medical robots, robotic mail dogs, valets that park your car, but it's not a human, it's a robot. So we'll do lots of different things like that, looking at different types of robots around the world. And then we're also going to look at step writing, learning how to break down instructions into one piece at a time so that any audience could understand it. We're going to look at the influence that robots have had in the world around us, so both your life, the lives of people all around the world. Second unit is when we start building. This is when everybody wants to know, when are we going to start to build things? So we do the introduction unit, that first unit, it takes us somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks. And then the remainder of the course, so weeks 3 through 9, we do spend building in the robotics kits. So during this time, we will do a little bit of the design process review, which you got in 6th grade. I will have you sketching designs of what it is you plan to make before each of the big projects. We'll talk about gears and gear ratios, how to make something go fast or how to make something go slow. We will be building a windmill. You'll be choosing a slow mechanism for that. Before the windmill, though, we do actually build a series of 8 different mechanisms so that you can learn how the pieces go together, how to create these different mechanisms. And then that'll help you because it'll almost be kind of your choice. When you build the projects, you'll be able to look back and decide which of those mechanisms might be best for the project. Our final unit that we will be in is our automated systems. So this is now once we take them and we're going to add electricity to it. So our mechanical systems in the second unit are just simply hand powered. So those are no electricity, no programming. Automated systems will be using Robot C. It's not a hard program to learn, mainly because it has a lot of drag and drop features. So you'll be able to click on something and drag it over and not have to memorize how to type something. We'll learn what code behaviors are and how each line has a certain task it's going to complete. We'll learn what pseudocode is, which is going to be essentially the lines of code for us, the human, to kind of remind us about what we're doing or why we named something a certain way. Our final exam project that we will do in the last week and a half of the quarter is the creation of a car. We call it the dragster. In this one, we are going to choose a mechanism that goes fast. So your windmill is slow, your dragster is going to be fast, and it will have electricity to it. So we will have programming and all of that for the car. All right, let's take a look at Canvas and what you can expect to see here. So each week, you're going to have pretty much the same interface, except the schedule will change. You'll have the classroom side, and then you'll have the homework side. However, the homework really isn't going to be something that you're really having to do at home, except maybe once or twice during the quarter. And if it is something you're doing at home, it's really short. Most of the time, it is just going to be a reminder. Hey, we did this in class. Did you turn this in? If you didn't, that's what you're doing at home. You're turning in that item. Okay? So we have already done the introduction of myself. I've gone through our class and then our classroom expectations. So we're at item number 4 on the list today, which is our grading policy signatures. So when you click on this, you'll be able to fill in most of it. You will need someone at home to fill in a signature. So what this goes through, it's just a reminder talking about your grade being weighted 70, 20, 10, which we just talked about. talking about those Power School codes, LS, NHI, what those stand for. So you need to type your name or just print it here. Then you're going to use the handwriting feature to sign your name. Last, you need someone at home to sign their name as well. And then you do need to submit that here into Canvas. Okay. Last item on the agenda for today is just to explore Canvas. Go in and take a look at things. If you click on assignments, you will be able to see each of the categories. So you'll see your bell work and reflection category and any of the items that are in that 10% area. Our labs and projects in that 70% category. And then our quizzes that we will do. The quizzes are locked because those don't open until the day of the quiz and only will be done here in the classroom. But it shows you the 2 items there. Okay. If you get your items, you get this video done and you go through, you've checked out Canvas, you've filled in your name and signature in this, and you just have to take it home for someone to sign. You could, if you want to, move on to the student information sheet for tomorrow. Don't do the infographic. I want to talk about some details on that first. But you could click on this student information sheet, click on this Google link here. If when you open it, it tells you that you cannot or you don't have permission, double check that you're not signed into Google with a personal account. It does require that you use your Noblesville email and password. Okay. When you go through this, you're going to fill things in. First item is looking at your first and last name. This is your given legal first and last name, so the full name. I do want what I see in Power School listed there. In the second question, that is where you tell me if you go by something different. So if you go by a shortened version of your first name, you go by your middle name, you have a hyphenated last name, but you only go by part of it, that's where you're going to tell me that there so that I know how to address you in the classroom. Going to fill in parents' names. You can tell me all of them. You can tell me the one you live with. You can tell me mom and stepdad or grandma, grandpa, whatever you want to fill in here. It's going to let me know who you're living with, basically. So those main contacts if I needed to. What are you looking forward to most about this Project Lead the Way class? Again, reminder, PLTW. That's what that Project Lead the Way abbreviation stands for. So what are you looking forward to about automation and robotics? Is it the fact that we're going to be off of the iPad, you'll be in groups, we'll be a little bit more hands-on than you are in a typical class? Don't fill in something with IDK or I don't know. You do need to come up with something. So take a look back at the labs and see which one maybe sounds the most intriguing to you. How many siblings do you have? Fill in their names, their ages. If you're not 100% sure, you can kind of guesstimate the ages. It lets me know if they're older or younger than you. Activities and things that you're involved in. So check any of them that apply. There's a category I missed, other, and you can type the name of that. That's both in and out of school. Something interesting about you, something that lets me know how to get to know you better. Your strongest subject here at school. Something you think that's going to make this class difficult. Again, it's a different style of classroom, very hands-on, groups. So what's going to make that hard for you? Describe for me a way that you learn best. Visual means you learn best by maybe watching a demonstration or seeing something right there in front of you to kind of be able to mimic. Auditory, maybe you learn best by listening to an example. Maybe you learn best just by getting hands-on and starting it yourself. So let me know which way you learn best. Food allergies, I just want to know that ahead of time. It's never a bad idea to know what kind of food or other allergies you might have. How you like to work best, by yourself, with one partner, small group. Unfortunately, most of the time, there's going to be at least a group of 2 working because we don't have enough robotics equipment to have someone work by themselves. Favorite color, favorite food. I want a goal. What is a goal you have for this current school year? So it doesn't mean that it's necessarily just for this class. We're going to get to that in the last 2 questions. But what's a goal you have? Academically, socially, what's something you want to achieve this year? And then tell me how you plan on getting to meet that goal. last one is a goal for this Project Lead the Way class. So what is a goal you have for automation and robotics? And then tell me how you plan on achieving that. Once you have this item submitted, if you chose to work ahead, then you can submit that. If you finish and there is still class time left, find something to work on. That means something academic. We're only day one of this quarter, guys. So that means no videos, no games, no music yet, but you need to find something to be doing. Read a book, work on other homework. If you have none of those, then find a website that has articles that you're interested in. If you're into current events, then find a local news website, go to a national website, and read articles. You're into sports, open ESPN, read some articles there. Again, we're not watching videos, but you're reading, so it is something academic and will help you. So find something to be working on until the bell rings and until you are dismissed by the adult in the room. Have a great day, guys, and I look forward to meeting you tomorrow.